Welcome back to DreamHack Summer in Jönköping, the Hearthstone Grand Prix. One match left. Orange and Espumito will be battling against each other for the hefty prize, hefty chunk of the 25k prize pool. And overall, first prize takes 7.5k. Second prize is $3,500, so quite a lot, but it's all about the glory right now. Firebat, you know the glory of winning. Tell me something about it.
The best feeling, yeah, all of the glory. You get so much respect from your peers, which is, you can't really put a dollar value on that. Everyone that's here at the tournament competing, you know, they have to give it up to you. You're the guy that was able to actually win the tournament, so it's cool just to be like, yeah, I just crushed all you guys. It's a really good feeling. I
agree about that. I was speaking about it for, I think, in every single tournament, that the players that are competing, they don't care that much about money.
Right.
I mean, of course, it's a, you know, it's helpful.
They want to prove they're the best. That's why we do this. That's why we compete. We're just a big competition against one another, constantly trying to prove, hey, I'm a better player than these guys. I can build the best lineup. I can predict the meta better. And if you are the one with the title, then you can confidently say that on that day, you predicted the meta better. You handled your own.
Yeah, and out there at the moment, it's not just one-on-one. There's both countries are getting together.
Right.
Orange is surrounded by a couple of people.
Huge groups
of
people.
Spaniards out there helping out, just all giving their information. What should you ban? What should you start with?
There had to be at least 30 people.
Right, it's absolutely insane out there. And when that Witch Doctor was played and the triple Taunt Totem came out, the cinema noise was insane as well. Everybody is really invested in this now.
We were both with Neil there in the cinema, and it was just... So that's like the moment when you feel like, yes, this is the crowd, this is the community. Why do you even care about the tournaments? This is why. People cheering, people just scanning, people are loving those moments when something crazy happens and you see, like, you know, the usual kind of stale maybe gameplay, because it's a card game, right? It's played in turns. But when you see those moments, people are so invested, you see those emotions coming out, even from, you know, cold-blooded Swedes. But in general, Orange from Alliance is looking to take another final for himself, and if I'm not mistaken, 2015 he was already top 8 at DreamHack, which is kind of funny because this is like the third top 16 player that is from 2015.
Right,
sure.
Again in 2017, right? But Espumito, for him, this is something big.
Yeah, this would be his first big win, his breakout performance. A lot of players have been saying good things about this guy, saying that it's his time. He's one of the guys to watch out for in this tournament, and he's proven them right so far. Can he win his first major title?
That's a big step. That's a milestone in your career.
It launches everything, right? I mean, Spain's a country that likes their streamers as much as any, so he can start streaming if he wanted. He can get sponsorship from teams, he can get some more events and just kick on from there. He's probably done enough already, but I'm sure he'd like to double it all up and win the whole thing.
Yeah, I've spoken to him before. He said Hearthstone's something he doesn't want to just do as a hobby. He wants to turn it into a career. And if you're going to try and turn Hearthstone into a career, one of the best ways to do it is winning a major event. That gives you a lot of following and really pushes your name out there. Yeah, it worked out well for me. It'll probably also work out well for Espumito. Getting second's okay, but getting first really catapults you out there.
And he's doing it by, if he gets through Orange, he's going to do it by beating a massive name to do it.
One of the highest prize money earners in the entire scene.
Yeah. $130,000 on Orange's account when it comes to the prize money. But one last question for you, Firebat.
Okay.
Can you please deconstruct the matchups for me and say who is more favorite?
All right, so if we look at the matchups here, it is not looking too pretty for Orange at the moment. His Rogue deck doesn't have a favorable matchup against any of Espumito's decks. Not a single one. So, you know, whenever you go into a matchup and one of your decks is pretty useless, that's not a good sign right off the bat. Most of Orange's decks are extremely weak to the Quest Rogue from Espumito, which makes his ban predictable. It forces the action where he has to ban Espumito's Quest Rogue. Espumito can then respond by taking the most optimal ban of the Jade Druid, giving himself more favorables across the board there. It's going to be tough for Orange for sure.
With this optimistic note from Firebat, we're going to jump into the game. This is it. This is the hype moment of the entire tournament. 3 days behind us, hundreds of games being played, and now we're just left with the 2% of the entire field. Orange and Espumito will be battling this in a best of 5. So here we go.
All right, I am Firebat. I will be casting with Lorenda, bringing you the action of the Grand Finals. Orange versus Espumito. Now, one of the most interesting things here is in the lineups, on paper, Orange already has a disadvantage.
Right.
Do you think he's going to try to do some sort of wacky ban strategy to maybe mind games his way into a little bit of an advantage or even it out?
I mean, the strategy changes are usually in the hand of the underdog in these situations. There's no reason for the favourite to do anything weird. So he will just go ahead. He will make the ban of the Jade Druid and just get on with his life. That gives Orange information to work with. There's no reason at all for anyone to mess around. So it'll be interesting. He's been talking to Powder. Powder's very creative. Okay. Orange is creative in his own right. I think we might see something weird. What that weirdness would be, we'll have to wait and see. But I just feel like there might be.
The weirdness comes from Espumito. I would have liked to see him ban the Jade Druid from Orange. He ends up banning out the Shaman. Wait, it may be wrong, though. I'm hearing words from production.
Drama already at the start of this final.
What's going on with the ban? The Shaman is a reasonable ban as well, as it is effective against some of the aggro decks from Espumito. So.
And we have seen Shamans just go through lineups.
All right, it was right. They've double-checked it. Espumito has banned Orange's Shaman. That opens up his Paladin to potentially do a little bit better, as well as the Pirate Warrior, you know, opens up some doors for there. But it lowers the % chance for Espumito's Mage to really run away with things. Espumito's Mage traditionally here lines up very strongly against the Rogue, Paladin, and the Shaman. And
yeah, just everything.
Everything left. So it is a bit interesting that he chooses that. Maybe he was afraid of Orange trying to go one level deeper. So he, in turn, tried to go even one level deeper. And then when Orange responds with the standard ban, it doesn't really help out Espumito too much.
So if Orange can get that Jade Druid to avoid that aggro Paladin.
And line up with the Mage.
Yeah, and line up with the Mage and also even the Pirate Warrior. Given that he's an underdog anyway, that's one you've got to win. Then if he can just hold that Jade Druid off until the Paladin's out of the way, maybe he can sneak this.
Maybe he can. But at the same time, Espumito's Paladin is in a pretty good position to have a decent ability to just sweep the entire lineup from Orange.
Right.
The Shaman was the main counter to the Paladin. We saw the Paladin actually fall to Jade Druid previously, though, so it can be a bit sketchy there for Espumito. The Paladin also has some % chance to lose against the Rogue, as the Rogue can stop the Murloc synergies from getting onto the board and slow it down a lot.
Just to recap, this Paladin from Espumito is that crazy aggro Paladin. No Tyrion, double Divine,
Divine Favor.
Divine Favor, and off you go. Just draw as many cards as you can. If he does get a slow start, anything can beat it on its day, but it's going to be a Paladin mirror, but it's not really a mirror.
Right. It's Orange is playing the Control Paladin, well, the Control N'Zoth Paladin, so a greedier form of Control Paladin that's teched towards being a little bit more proficient against the control matchups, making it a little more vulnerable against aggressive decks. And being paired up against an aggressive deck is not what you want under those circumstances. But
given those constraints, this hand with Doomsayer and Consecration, at least he's going to get a chance to get into this. He can deal with Finju, with Kodo, if things permit, if there's not 4 minions on the board at the time.
Right.
He might have some sort of chance of getting into this.
Definitely has a good chance of getting into it, especially having that Hydrologist out early to be able to contest the Murloc start from Espumito. He's drawn kind of the backup Murlocs right now. None of the ones you really want to be starting the game with. Preferably, you'd get one of the stronger 1-drops and one of the stronger 2-drops. This is the weakest 1-drop into the weakest 2-drop for Espumito's deck.
That Divine Favor is going to be problematic, though. Orange going to be able to get hold of the board once, and then Espumito's going to be able to spam the board again, and that's when it will really kick off in this final. Will Orange be able to withstand that second wave of Murlocs?
He's thinking about maybe dropping out in the Doomsayer right now.
Yeah. It doesn't get any better for the Doomsayer. You're not going to get control very often, so I feel like getting it down there now, slow things down a touch.
Yeah. The only punish to the Doomsayer is the Murloc War Leader, which allows Espumito to answer it, or some combination of 2 cards. So having that War Leader for Espumito here is absolutely huge. Being able to shut down that Doomsayer, maintain control of the board, and start really pulling ahead here.
Yeah, and obviously no immediate way to get that Consecration off. Still on 3 mana, even though your opponent's already got a dominating-looking board.
The Equality Consecrate, that's going to be big later on. As well,
be big.
The way that you can see the Stampede and Kodo line up against Espumito's hand, that Finja.
Is there any merit here in just putting the Hydrologist into the War Leader, taking a beating for a turn to set up next turn Consecration?
I like it. I think it's definitely a valid play. You do have to worry a little bit about Cold Light Seer, which would allow the health buff to get the minions outside of range.
Yeah, and second War Leader, so there's 3 or 4 out, or 3 outs there. But if you're going to win this match, you're going to have to take a chance somewhere. I think just holding off the wave of Murlocs forever isn't going to happen unless you try and wipe out a load in one go.
You can try and use Equality this turn, too. That's an option. Just take out the War Leader immediately right now. With the Equality, isn't too bad. Slows down a lot of the damage, and
the problem with that is that he's going to go for it by the look of it, but the problem with this play is it does take away his clearing options later on. So he's going for the immediate gain, and he's banking on it being able to keep hold of this board. He'll get a decent Consecration, he'll get a decent Kodo, but will Espumito be able to get a good reload after that?
And Espumito has no way to pile onto this board. Nothing that he can do.
Yes, so Orange's decision is going to be a good one.
Right, and Orange is also, with this play, emptying his hand a lot, helping him play around Divine Favor in the future.
Yeah, Rallying Blade, the best Espumito's got, and that tells Orange quite a lot about the hand.
It says there's no Gentle Megasaur, no Blessing of Kings, no second Murloc War Leader, no Cold Light Seer, no Rock Pool, no Tide Hunter, no Hydrologist. You get the point.
At that point, you've got to start saying there's a Divine Favor in this hand.
You can know that the cards are either Finja, Sunkeeper Terram, Divine Favor, or another weapon.
Yeah, that's not many cards, right? There's 3 cards in hand. You can nail this down legitimately really tightly. I
imagine Orange has written down those cards and knows exactly what they are. So that's why this Consecration's coming out here. It seems kind of weird because Espumito's playing a deck that constantly floods small minions. But when you can narrow it down that he most likely has Finja in his hand, then you just perfectly set up your Kodo. If the Kodo comes down on the Finja, that's going to blow this game out of the water.
It's not going to just blow the game out of the water. It's going to blow this final wide open. This just looked like it could be a stomp if things went badly for Orange. And now he's going to have every chance of the whole thing.
Right. Now Orange's Jade Druid, the main counter to that was the Paladin. So now it's got kind of a 50-50 matchup against the Pirate Warrior since it does have the weapon removal teched in. And it's got an extremely favorable matchup against the Mage.
And this still has to play again. I mean, this can still win.
And the Paladin can still steal something. Yes. Yeah.
He steals 2 games. That's insane. But yeah. We're getting ahead of ourselves, of course, though. So far, Espumito still has that Divine Favor in hand. He does still have some stuff left to go. Orange hasn't drawn any of his big stuff, but there's a Spike Ridge Steed coming down next turn.
And you have to kind of expect that. It's turn 6. They run 2 copies of Spike Ridge Steed. Oftentimes here, you cannot afford to leave their minion alive, so we're going to see him clear this Kodo here.
A little bit awkward for Orange going into next turn. He'll be aware that Divine Favor at this point is almost certainly in hand.
Right.
So Acolyte of Pain is a bit wonky.
Yeah, a little wonky, but the amount of resources Espumito is forced to expend here to play around Spike Ridge Steed. Holy smokes.
There is no Consecration, I seem to remember, in Espumito's deck. So Orange can just, if he wants to, if he feels it gets the board and empties his hand, he can even go with 1 or 2 Pyromancers here. A Hydrologist makes that easy.
Yeah, anyway. Hydrologist, double Wild Pyromancer. There's no punish for that. No Consecrates in the deck. You can assume at this point one of the cards in your opponent's hand may be Sunkeeper Terram.
Yep.
Espumito has played the cards off the top, so you still have the read that the cards in hand are either another weapon, Divine Favor, Sunkeeper Terram, and that's about it. So it is very reasonable to extend super wide on this board to make sure you can play around that Sunkeeper Terram.
Does take the Getaway Kodo, though. I did wonder if he was going to take something different, like Redemption, just to keep board rather than cards in hand, but the Divine Favor is not that bad if you're keeping yourself down to 4 and you've got the board.
Sure. I imagine we'll see that Divine Favor here.
Yeah, it needs some refill here. This hand is appalling right now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Blessing of Kings gives him a plan. Double Blessing of Kings gives him a worse plan.
Right, yeah, the all-in plan. Lose to Aldor Peacekeeper. But it's something. He's at least got some gas going. He's got some Murloc synergies that can happen now. He's not out of it completely. But the Spike Ridge Steed is going to be able to land now, and that is a bummer. Espumito doesn't have defensive tools in his deck besides the Sunkeeper Terram. Both the cards that Orange had a read on that he knew were big drops have been played, so he doesn't have to really fear the Sunkeeper Terram anymore.
Picks up the second Equality as well, so now not only has Espumito got to do it again, but he's got to do it again, and his deck is 1 Divine Favor and a bunch of things that die to Equality.
Right. And Sunkeeper Terram. That's going to be an important one.
Sure.
Finding the second Divine Favor, if he can empty his hand.
Which he can't.
Yeah, Orange has a smaller hand than he has right now.
Yeah, been well managed by Orange. He's kept that under control. In fairness, he has pulled all of the cards that are cheap in his deck. He hasn't got any clutter at all there going on. He's managed to draw the cheap end of his deck.
Yeah, it just so happens he didn't hit any of those 8 drops that are in there, or the Nazoth, the 10 drop.
Try emptying your hand then.
Yeah,
but even so, he's done well with the cards he has been presented with, and finding a way, by the look of it, to sneak in front here. But still a little way to go. That equality has to be well managed, or accidents could still occur.
Right, and Espumito needs to set up a board where he can actually make something happen. So it looks like he's going to be trying to get a Blessing of Kings down so his minion can't get value traded into.
Yeah, and this is another way of just trying to force removal out of Orange's hand. There's only one of the things with your opponents keeping their hand size low, they don't have many options. So if you can force things out of them, as I get a bit excitable, because this is a great pickup.
Yeah, he's able to actually clear the minion now. That is huge. Oh, man.
Yeah, Orange just making sure he's put stuff down. Now he can play the Acolyte of Pain. He's seen one Divine Favor. His hand is really low anyway. Start looking for a Tyrion, which would close everything out, amongst several other cards.
Yeah, any of his 8 drops, any of the finishers. Even, honestly, you could play Nazoth as a 5/7, and it may be enough to finish out the game. So Orange just needs any big card in a deck full of big cards.
Yeah, and he's drawn all the small ones.
And he's drawn all the small ones. And he's got Acolyte to help him draw additional cards. So he's got a few chances at finding it even.
Not only that, but Espumito's down to 18 because he's been using his weapons to clear the way. It's all looking good for Orange in game 1.
Yeah, even gets the Getaway Kodo to extend the value of his hand, which was running quite dry.
So Blessing of Kings into Divine Favor might be tempting here. This is the sort of play you don't make on ladder because your idiot opponent might fill their hand up. Unfortunately, against Orange, you have to take what you can get.
Right.
How do you generate resources here? Looking at his hero power just to keep some more resources going. But that is not a steady shot.
No.
It's just a dude maker.
Interesting stat distribution there. But, yeah, he gets the 6/6 out.
Yeah, make sure the Stegodon will get out of the way at least, but Orange is going to be able to draw cards. Setting the trap a little bit here.
I guess, yeah.
In terms of giving yourself an out, trying to get Orange to draw a few cards, and then maybe Divine Favor your way into something. I'm not sure what that thing would be.
Maybe it'll work.
But you're better off with 5 cards if you're trying to save a game than 3, so that's his plan.
That's for sure. And Orange is having a difficult time emptying his hand as most of the cards in it create additional cards.
Yeah, it's strange that when you have a value-generating deck.
Dread Corsair comes out for free.
Seems good.
Yeah, talk about a good way to empty your hand.
Yeah, all these cards, just stop giving me cards.
Yeah.
Don't want them.
You can use Noble Sacrifice here to stop the 6/6 from being able to attack. Both Bluegill Warriors have been used, so Espumito does not have a draw that allows him to beat the Noble Sacrifice.
And again, Orange just dumping his hand, recognizing the only way he loses this is to some crazy Divine Favor.
And the Divine Favor is not going to be able to cut it.
I mean, yeah, even that's not going to be good enough now.
Right.
He could draw as many cards as he wanted and have 10 mana. It's probably not enough.
Yeah, there's nothing.
There's a Tarim that looked like it might be a game changer. Well, it'd be a game loser if he just dumped in now.
It doesn't help him at all. It honestly adds more power to the board on Orange's side.
It takes your 6/6 into a 3/3. It's probably a good way to concede a game.
Well, it does stop the lethal though, right?
It does. Does it? Equality, bump, bump, bump. I don't think it does.
Oh, yeah, equality and then just go in, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't even do that.
It honestly gives your opponent lethal to play the Terran if they have equality, so not an ideal card to pick up in this situation.
Seems a bit rough.
Orange right now, 2 damage off lethal, so Spike Ridge Steed or Consecrate or True Silver would allow him to finish the game.
Yeah, going to Divine Favor, realizing that's all he's got. Let's see what he can pick up. He's going to have a few cards. And of course, when you don't get your small stuff early, the exact reverse of Orange's pickups.
You get your small stuff in the later stage.
And really a bonus win for Orange, and probably reversing the initial assessment here, especially coupled with that ban where he's got the Jade Druid still to go through those other 2 decks if possible.
Right. Having the Jade Druid up for Orange to be able to counter the Mage is really powerful.
Okay, so unless I missed something here, just Equality finishes this off. Yeah, and Orange 1-0. Sweden, home turf. They're going to do it? Maybe.
He's in good position, that's
I say home turf. It doesn't feel like home turf when you walk out past that Spanish contingent out there.
Right, yeah.
It's just Spanish people everywhere out there. It's amazing to see how much help he's had and how much support more than help.
The community there is just fantastic. really supporting him all along the way. But it is Orange who is taking the lead right now, and Espumito has to respond to the Paladin. He has the choices between either the Pirate Warrior, the Quest Rogue.
Yeah, the Rogue got banned.
Oh, no, the Rogue got banned. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's just the Freeze Mage
or the
Freeze
Mage or the Pirate Warrior. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And the Pirates is kind of your chance against the Druid.
It's kind of your chance against most of the decks, yeah.
So
the Mage is a little iffy against the Paladin. Orange does have some healing options. He has Forbidden Healing, and he has Ragnaros the Light Lord in there, but you kind of have to do it. You need to have that Pirate Warrior connect against the Druid and take that win.
But if you go for the Mage, you can avoid the Druid or the Mage, and just, yeah, you're going to go for the Mage just to try and dodge that Druid matchup. At least
right.
Get the thing that could beat, not the thing that it well, almost certainly won't.
Yeah, so if he's able to sneak out this slightly unfavorable, or it's really close, this matchup, honestly. So if the Mage is able to sneak out the win here, then Orange responds with the Druid, taking out the Mage almost every time.
Yep.
And then Espumito responds with the Pirate Warrior. A pretty close matchup there that you'd have to take. But then he gets the Rogue at the end of it, which is an easy matchup to win.
I'm forgetting that Orange's Rogue even exists.
Right, it's
like 2
honestly,
versus 3, and now he's just leveled the scores.
It's basically 1-1 right now because Orange's Rogue is so poorly positioned against the decks of Espumito. So he's not out of it yet by any means. And this matchup's not very bad for the Mage.
Which one would you prefer? If you're playing the Rogue, would you rather run it into the Mage or the Pirates? Which one if you have to sneak a win?
Whichever one you draw Edwin in.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you just draw Edwin, get on with it.
That's the whole thing. But in all seriousness, I would rather play against the Pirate Warrior.
You do at least have that early little bit of backstab into Petal, into try to get lucky, into blow a thing up, into Edwin.
Remove enough stuff to make something happen, as well as just your swashbucklers and hallucinations can get armor gain or utility tools that are actually helpful. Whereas
if you do land that Edwin, at least he can attack.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know,
it's just statistically, a Rogue fares often better against Pirate Warrior than it does against Freeze Mage.
Cool, but looking here now, this one's going to be a pretty grindy affair. Both players are going to have to not miss a step in this one. And Orange trying to get that beatdown going just to slow the Freeze Mage down right from the start.
Yeah, and we can see it already kind of working. Espumito can't cycle Blood Mage Thalnos because he's worrying about removing this Wild Pyromancer. As well, as something to note for this matchup is Espumito has the Eater of Secrets, which is a fantastic tech card here. It allows him to have the ability to beat the Eye for an Eye that Archaeologists can often generate. Yeah,
we've seen that already today, causing a world of problems, but if you just eat it up, then that's pretty good. This, however, is pretty horrific. Don't really want to use your coin on a Doomsayer, but...
And you don't have to. You can just ping down the Wild Pyromancer. It's unlikely that Orange can develop too much pressure.
On the other side, you don't want to do a 3-mana ping either, particularly. You may have to, that's the play, but it hurts.
I mean, you don't want a Doomsayer. You don't want to waste the coin. Like, the Doomsayer doesn't do enough. If you try and just Doomsayer this board, you play right into turn 4 True Silver. And you don't really stop his development all that much. You want a Doomsayer on crucial turns that make it so Orange is either forced to play Stampeding Kodo, weakening his development, or just can't beat it and then weakens his development there. But
how important is coin with Antonidas in this matchup, given there's healing all over the place?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just answered it yourself.
Sure.
There's healing all over the place. Additional fireballs are pretty good.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so it's very important that he holds the coin. And honestly, I believe the way you can think about this matchup is your opponent can't do very many things when they play Stampeding Kodo. So even though Kodo beats Doomsayer, your Doomsayer timing is still super relevant even while getting Kodo'd, because forcing your opponent to spend 5 mana to play Kodo is very relevant in a deck that runs 10 drops and 8 drops and 6 drops. So you can really hemorrhage what they can do with their turn and utilize that to be able to set up your lethal plans.
Now the deck lists are open, so Eye for an Eye would be interesting if he didn't take it here.
I wouldn't be surprised if he takes Getaway Kodo instead, or Repentance even, to be able to answer Doomsayers easier, because the deck lists are open. He knows that Eater of Secrets is in the deck list for Espumito. By the time he's going to be playing Eye for an Eye, Espumito should have drawn most of his deck by that point, so the likelihood he has the Eater of Secrets is pretty high.
Might have been interesting there to take Getaway Kodo, but not play it for like 6 turns and convince them it's Eye for an Eye, and then just get double Nazoth or something from it.
Well, I mean, it'll get Eater of
Ragnaros,
Secrets. Yeah. But yeah, trying to go for the double Ragnaros is always really fun. If you get the Light Lord down, they have to kind of kill it the turn it comes into play, and then you can have the getaway Kodo up with it. But one of the advantages of Eye for an Eye is the same thing I was talking about with the Kodo. Your opponent has to spend 4 mana playing Eater of Secrets.
Yeah, and they're not killing you on that turn a lot of the time with their Pyroblast while they're messing around.
Exactly, so it gives you 1 additional turn to be hitting them in the face.
Can't remember who was playing, but I cast a game recently where both players had Eater of Secrets, and neither of them basically got to play it. In a Mage Mirror.
They didn't have enough time.
They just, they're constantly trying to, they're having to ping things and fireball things. They just never had the mana to play it down, even though it would have won the game if they could squeak it down there.
It's sometimes just very difficult to fit in, especially in the later turns when you have to freeze a board and set up your own lethal.
Yeah, and in the mirror, obviously with double ice block, you try to do it on the turn you win, because otherwise they just play another one and your Eater's just kind of rubbish.
So it can be difficult to set that up, and exceptionally difficult to set that up when your opponent's actively trying to make it harder for you.
Yeah. Orange, just looking at this, developing that little bit of chip damage is really important here. It doesn't look very menacing and it's not particularly scary, but, you know, just getting yourself something, make your opponents have to play inefficiently, make them have to use those cards, the freeze stuff, slow down their development, try and get yourself to your big turns. Like your Ragnaros would be handy.
Yeah, Orange can even extend further here if he wants to, just continue dropping minions out there. I'd like to see him hold on to the Aldor. His own Aldor Kodo combo is really good at helping clear up Archmage Antonidas in the later stages. He does choose to hold back the Wild Pyromancer, though, limiting the amount of development, potentially because he doesn't have a clean answer to a Doomsayer here. So if Nova Doom does come out and he commits the Wild Pyromancer, then he could find himself in a situation where he has absolutely no minions to pressure with.
We did see earlier how important this True Silver can be. Just for the 2 healing, you just leave the second charge there forever. After the Alex turn, get yourself up by 2. And if they're planning on a 15 kill, which is often 6-6-3, 17 is just that little bit more awkward. Obviously, they can see it, but even so, it just means they've got to have another card in their hand.
Exactly, and it can buy you the necessary 1 extra turn to then be able to cast the Forbidden Healing on yourself or whatnot.
Orange drawn all of the light stuff in his deck for the 2nd game in a row. And he is going to be able to pick up a card. So the Acolyte finally getting its job done, finding a card. And Orange kind of needs it in a way at the moment, not in a hurry, but wants to start finding some of that healing.
Yeah, he needs to find both healing cards by the end of this game, that's for sure. He's even considering trying to get 3 off the Acolyte.
Yeah, this is greedy, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, it loses one of his abilities towards being able to remove big threats like Antonidas, but he's focusing on drawing towards that healing. He wants to get 3 draws off this Acolyte. I imagine that's also why he held back the Wild Pyromancer the previous turn. And
more healing with Wicker Flame.
That's what you want.
We've seen with Wicker Flame before in matches like this, you want to drop it the turn before you need to, because obviously it's got to actually get that damage through. You want to try not to get it frozen, gain a bit of health, trying to do it at the right time. And now he's got 2 healing cards in hand. And a little board that's irritating enough to need dealing with.
It's poking away for sure. It might force out a Blizzard. It would be a pretty early Blizzard, but against Control Paladin, you know they don't have all that many threats, so whenever you can clean up 4 minions, it's usually not too bad.
What's the deal with Tyrion in this matchup? Do you try and freeze it over and over so you never kill it if possible, so it doesn't get to slap you with 5 in the face?
Yeah, by turn 8, you're freezing everything over and over again.
You just make sure,
you don't remove minions up to that point, because then you'll run out of the burn to actually kill him.
Yeah, Tyrion, you don't want it to die, you don't want that Ashbringer.
But it is important for the Paladin to be able to get Tyrion out as early as possible. Having a Tyrion on 8, forcing freezes to happen earlier than the Mage would like, makes it so it's harder for the Mage to cycle through its deck efficiently.
Yeah, there's always that catch, right? So what I was just saying there, the Tyrion doesn't scare the Mage because it can deal with it, but you make them deal with it, and then they're not dealing with other things that you're trying to achieve, like drawing Ragnaros.
Opportunity to set up for a Doomsayer. You get to have it like the follow-up of Archmage, coin something.
Yeah.
No Frostbolt or anything yet to go with it. Would love to find a glyph. That would be the bee's knees with that Archmage Antonidas.
Needs to make a little bit of space in his hand fairly soon as well, because he's going to store quite a lot of these cards, and he needs to make some gaps. And this is a good way of doing that as well.
Sets up for the Blizzard with the ping. He would need to ping the 1/4, though. He has Thalnos Blizzard to follow this up. He could also try and play the Thalnos this turn to force a True Silver swing from Orange to guarantee a Kodo hit.
Yeah, interesting debate. It also gives away his hand a little bit. You don't really care about giving away your hand, but always that debate in your head of how much you want your opponent to know about what's going on.
Yeah.
But this is the right play. Sometimes you just have to make the right play. If your opponent reads into it, that's just their good play.
Yeah. So Orange can potentially get a grasp that there is a Thalnos Blizzard in the hand of Espumito.
But hand of 8 cards, you're not really surprised.
Sure.
But it's nice to have that. It's nice to have that. You know, one's a coin. You know, 2 of the other cards. Narrows down the fact you're probably not dying for a few turns because there's only 5 actual cards in hand.
Right.
And actually going to.
He wants to get this draw off this Acolyte.
Yeah.
He's really been prioritizing draw this game. He wants to find that Light Lord, wants to have all of the heal from his deck. I really like this. Understanding the matchup, understanding how important draw is, and also...
Yeah, understanding how useless his minions are. Like, what's that Pyro doing later?
Right.
You know, you've got the equality in your hand to kill other things with.
Yeah, you get to preserve your board, clear the Doomsayer. Good turn.
Nice work. And again, what we've been talking about now, the Blizzard has to come down. It does clear the board, but it passes your turn. So it doesn't have to do it. Maybe he looks for a different way around this.
Yeah, there's not all that much power in play, so you could look to try and wait on the Blizzard and just draw this turn.
Pointing out that he did get the 3 cards of the Acolyte now.
Yeah, all 3. He used that Aldor way early on to try and set up to get 3 off that Acolyte. So it was kind of a greedy Aldor, but it really worked out for him because he did manage to actually get the 3 off the Acolyte that he was trying to set up.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big deal if he does end up winning this game. A lot of that will be down to that particular play.
Just setting up that draw.
Yeah, and now he can do it all again because he's got enough garbage cards that he can get down. That'll be fine for him. So he hasn't really wasted, hasn't missed a step.
And there's that Light Lord.
So now
he has all the healing in his deck.
Yeah, now he can proceed to try and work out how I win the game because he knows he doesn't lose the game in a hurry. So the first priority is trying to find a situation where the Ragnaros doesn't die.
Well,
try and get 2 heals from it.
He needs to take some damage first.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even have to worry about the Rag yet. The next big problem on Orange's list, he has the healing to win the game. So the only way he gets defeated is if enough fireballs get generated. So he needs to make sure he always has an answer for Archmage Antonidas, which he doesn't have yet. So the next step is finding that, or at least delaying it from coming down until you do have an answer to be able to deal with it. So I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe set a Doomsayer on this turn just to make sure Alexstrasza can't come down cleanly and Archmage Antonidas can't come down cleanly.
Yep.
He doesn't have an answer for either at the moment.
Yeah, he has that equality and that is it. So that'll deal with one thing, but really don't want to hit yourself into an Alex. It's a bit painful when you're 15. Okay.
All right, just developing the board out there, gets a sticky minion.
Keeping that eye for an eye back, keeping the Eater of Secrets back to counter it. Love watching this little interplay between these 2 cards.
No Frost Nova to combo with the Archmage Antonidas, but he can generate a hefty amount of fireballs.
Yeah, Espumito, as soon as he picked up that Frostbolt, started counting.
Yeah.
He's just starting to look at how much damage do I actually have. It's not a lot, but if you start adding in the fireballs...
And the spell power from the Thalnos.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of damage here. Should I maybe just do something, but going to hold back, depending on these pickups. And, yeah, just thinning his deck out. So he will be looking... Archmage coin Frostbolt's a lot of fireballs.
It's 3 fireballs.
We
have classified previously in the tournament, 3 is a lot.
Yeah.
2 is an okay amount, 1 is a few, but 3 is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage that Espumito will have. He has the Pyroblast in the deck. He's got 2 fireballs of his own, plus an additional 3 fireballs. That's real damage. That is 40 points of burn with just that. Then you have the 2 Frostbolts, 46, and then the 2 Medivh Ballets on top of that. Yeah, you're looking at 52 points of burn.
That's 2016 for his mage.
That's a lot. And then Alexstrasza does another 15 on top of that.
That's like 2,000 points of damage. That's over 9,000 for sure, I think.
So Orange's deck does not have enough healing to beat that, but fireballs are not very efficient. It takes a lot of time to be able to launch all of that burn at the face.
And in between all those times, you can heal for 8 at a time if your Ragnaros is healing, so it gets fireballed out of sight, and then you've saved yourself some health anyway. Not managing to generate, unsurprisingly, Orange is not managing to generate much of an offense, though.
It's starting,
but he's
beginning for sure, yeah, but he's still quite a ways of actually having a real push here.
The big boys are accumulating in his hand at this point, so he is going to be able to start to make threats with what he thinks is probably the smallest things. He also has Spite Fish Steed and Wicker Flame in hand.
It's a good combo together to allow yourself to get some healing.
This was always going to be a long one. So many interactions these players need to think of. But normally think that players think 2 or 3 turns ahead. In this game, you're thinking towards the end of the game. Just so many decisions. And yeah, he's going to go with the...
Yeah, he needs to make space in his hand so he gets the Doomsayer out there.
Just amazing the things you can afford to throw away when...
Throwing away this giant board of minions, oddly enough. And... has put up the eye for an eye.
So Espumito now has enough damage to do anything he wants, except he needs 2,000 mana to do it.
Yeah. He could Pyroblast him right into this eye for an eye.
Right. That'd be good. Could be an interesting response from the people watching here if he did that.
I don't think it's actually as crazy as it sounds, because it's the best way to use your mana efficiently to begin burning your opponent. You have enough burn to kill him. I don't know. It sounds crazy. I think it's an option that's on the table.
I think there's options close to that, but that one seems a bit nuts.
It seems a bit nuts, but how does the Paladin hit you for 11 anyway?
Don't know, but he'll find a way.
He's going to be discarding Accolade of Pain here. He has the Arcane Intellect, so he doesn't really need too much more draw, I guess. Still no Alexstrasza in his hand. Not sure what his card total is yet, but we assume Alexstrasza is coming rather quickly. 11 cards still remaining.
And N'Zoth, normally a big deal. We didn't even flinch when that was picked up. It's like, man, he's got enough minions already. He doesn't really need N'Zoth right now. Just trying to set up a board.
Another secret for Orange. He could get the second eye for an eye. So if Eater of Secrets comes down on the first.
Yeah, at some point, Espumito should try and sneak in a ping on face for Orange here.
Takes Noble Sacrifice, which I guess can stop the attack of an Alexstrasza at some point.
That kind of deals with it. You don't usually need to deal with it for long with the Alex. The danger is the immediate 8 damage to face, so that would make a bit of sense. And now Orange finally has a board that is doing things.
Right. It's
been sort of tickling for the whole game, making sure that Espumito has to pay attention. But now he's actually got a board of stuff.
Espumito playing out the Eater of Secrets here. Not sure.
I think I'd like to have seen a ping to the face there if you're going to do that.
I don't know why we care about this eye for an eye. I want to see him go Archmage Antonitis, coin Frostbolt, Frostbolt, and then just fireball him to death. Yeah, look at how much damage we got. And we're wasting time clearing things. He has 18 damage of fireballs, another 6 of Frostbolts. So that's 24, and then the Pyroblast on top of that. Not to mention the fact you're drawing into the more damage.
So Orange has set up this board so that he can Forbidden Healing behind it if that line of play took place. He knows there's a lot of damage in the hand because Espumito's done nothing for the whole game. So the line he's doing is trying to make a board that he can hide, oddly enough, Forbidden Healing behind because you miss your turn when you heal for 20 or 15.
Right.
So this is a way of getting stuff out there so that when the burn begins, you get that first healing in, burn continues, you get your Ragnaros down there, and then you kind of shut your eyes and hope.
Espumito needs to get some amount of... Like, usually the way you win this matchup against Forbidden Healing is you abuse the fact that Forbidden Healing can only heal with all of your mana.
Right.
So if you can set them to a range around 15, then they're forced to play Forbidden Healing. Then you can Alexstrasza them after the fact, once they've healed all the way back up to 30.
Right.
So you have the time to set up for the Alexstrasza. If you wait until you find Alexstrasza and they still have Forbidden Healing and they still have Raglite Lord.
Sure, at some point you've got to get them down to 15 twice, however you do it.
Then you have to Alexstrasza them, and they have this giant board they've built up. So Espumito, you know, waiting on all of this burn is going to make it a lot harder to do the Alexstrasza, then the burn, then the reburn afterwards, because there's more crap hitting him in the face.
Yeah, constant procking the block pressure is just really awkward. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, so I
just pointing out that Orange is in a position to fend that off, even though that would be the right move. But he's in a position to fend it off because he's looked after his hand and set up a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he drew the healing cards. Terrific, but...
No, he drew them because he forced himself to draw them.
Yeah, he did do a very good job at trying to draw cards.
But yeah, I get what you're saying entirely. I just feel that
it's too slow if you just try and stop the board pressure when it's this small.
I'm not saying you don't do it. I was
but
just highlighting the other side of it. That
Right.
Orange is ready for him doing that, but
it's your
doesn't
only
mean you
chance,
don't
though.
do it, because otherwise Orange is just going to stop you, which is even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
You've got to at least try and kill him.
Molten Reflection can give you multiple Antinitises, overdrawing your hand with fireballs that you will not have time to play.
But it sounds so good.
It does give you 2 Antinitises, which is sweet.
Interesting taking the freezing there, which gives him a chance of getting those fireballs with a more empty hand later, but...
He's clearing up a lot of the board.
That's one of the Tyrians gone. These Tyrians today, man, they've been good cards, strangely enough.
Yeah. Orange can bring it back with the N'Zoth if he wants, or he can wait for the double Tyrian, but I kind of like the N'Zoth here, just applying as much pressure as possible.
Yeah, numbers check out as well.
Yeah, like...
6
set up
is there.
that pop. Don't give Espumito the time.
And now he's got to keep freezing your stuff, and you haven't got much stuff to freeze. It's kind of wasted.
He has to freeze your stuff. He has to set you to 15 with Alex. You heal. He has to then kill you with all the burn after that. He doesn't have the mana to freeze your board every turn while doing that. It's just... It's basically checkmate, I'd say, if Orange just puts out enough pressure to set up any kind of lethal.
And the stuff you've been highlighting here, at least Espumito could have this chance if he'd been firing stuff at the face.
I love this play. This is way better than the N'Zoth play because it still sets up lethal and it gives you this engine for healing that Espumito now needs to invest burn into removing. Oh, man.
So Orange's first point of call in this game was to draw the cards to get the healing.
Right.
He picked this Wicker Flame on turn 3, let's say, just pulling a number out there. So that's another way of healing. After he got that healing, he's now established this. And Espumito, by playing really, really cautious about it all, has let Orange have like an extra life.
Right,
He's bought himself 3 extra lives anyway, but he's given him a 4.
So much time he's given to Orange. If you force your opponent to spend their entire turn Forbidden Healing, that's tempo.
Yeah.
That is... You get your turn back. They spent their entire turn reacting to yours, and then you get to do something after that.
Yeah, it's the reverse of what Orange did at the start with that small board was doing 6 or 7 damage that forced Espumito to be inefficient.
Exactly. So
Espumito had a chance to reverse that,
He could have reversed that with his burn damage, forcing Orange to not be able to set up as much pressure because he's having to heal.
Sure.
So...
And here's all those fireballs, but they don't do much damage if you're dead.
If you're dead, it's very hard to get a good utilization out of them.
Orange, just got to point out as well, could have got just... that Noble Sacrifice hasn't played. That could have been a second Eye for an Eye, which would be relevant now.
It couldn't have been. There was no Eye for an Eye on the Secrets.
What I mean, it could have been... In terms of what Espumito knows when he played the Eater of Secrets early, he kind of wasted that Eater of Secrets. It did challenge the board a little bit, but that could have just been, as far as he knows, another Eye for an Eye.
Right.
And Orange might want to represent that at some point.
Doesn't seem like a bad thing to do.
Don't think he's going to need to, but that'd be another way of just buying himself a turn somewhere.
Aldor Kodo coming out here just to clean up the Archmage Anthonitis.
Yeah.
Healing all the way up to 30, having the engine to heal for 4 a turn, still having the Forbidden Healing, still having the Light Lord. Espumito fresh out of freezes. He's got all the firepower in the world, enough damage to kill Orange twice, but no time to play it.
Yeah. And Orange has time to heal it up anyway.
Yeah.
Because that time has come and gone to some degree. So, Alex Straza off the top, does that even do anything?
No.
No.
No, he still doesn't have enough time. And that's one of the things that you can run into if you don't actually pressure your opponent. If you give them free range to do whatever they want, they're going to do good things because they're going to pick whatever they want to do. You kind of have to force their hand a little bit.
So if you had 20 minutes with Powder at your side, one of the best players in Europe, before a final, after your semi-final, so this is what Orange had, what do you talk about? You know what to ban, you know what lineups are, you go through that quickly. What else do you highlight with each other? What would you have, if you were sat next to Orange for 20 minutes?
If I had to sat next to Orange for 20 minutes?
He piqued your brain for 20 minutes.
I don't think I would really need to sit next to him for 20 minutes. I mean, Orange is as experienced, if not more experienced of a player than I am. So I would just honestly say, do your thing. That's it.
Worst coach ever.
I mean, Orange has been here before. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. I don't think he wants to hear me coaching him. I think if he's taken my advice, then why am I not in the tournament?
Sure,
you know, he's the one that's played the whole tournament and won up into this point. He doesn't need anybody else's advice. Just
quickly help him check through for tech cards, that sort of thing. Other side of the draw, might not have seen much of each other.
I mean, he knows that to do
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
But you've got 20 minutes, you've just finished a match. Somebody says, hey, tech card this, watch out.
I hate getting advice right before a game.
So you just talk about, you know, what you're doing tonight, where you're going.
I would say, leave me alone. I'm trying to practice for the final. Get out of here. I don't need your advice.
All right, see you next
I
week.
like just getting in my zone, focusing on the game, listen to music, you know, relax by myself, get focused in, play the final.
Sure.
I don't know. I think if you start relying on other people's help in the grand finals, then you're going to start doubting your own first instincts. You're going to start doubting the plays you've been making the entire tournament. And you know what? The plays that you've been making the whole tournament is what's got you here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Why? What advice would you give Orange?
Me?
Yeah.
I wouldn't give him any advice because I'm terrible.
Okay.
No, but I mean, I was interested in what sort of things they would have been going over there. They had a piece of paper with stuff scribbled on.
Did they?
And I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're just reinforcing what he knows.
Sure.
I think if I was next to Orange,
you have to do that.
What are you going to do? And he's going to go, I caddy golf sometimes.
Sure.
It's like, what are you going to do? I'm going to do this. That sounds good. Go do it.
Exactly. Yeah. But you don't like say, no, that's bad.
No, that's
do
terrible.
this
Don't hit
instead.
it in the water.
Yeah. So it's like you just
check he's in the right state of mind,
Right,
make sure
yeah,
they're thinking
sure.
clearly, and
That makes
agree
sense.
with everything he says,
Just
unless he
always
says something uber dumb.
Yeah, unless he's gone nuts. Unless the stress has gotten to him and he's gone psycho, then maybe correct it a little bit. It looks like we are going to be going to a quick bathroom break for Orange. So filling a little bit of time here. Espumito only has one deck remaining.
And it's Pirate Warrior.
I mean, if you have one deck remaining that could potentially sweep your opponent's entire lineup, Pirate Warrior is a deck that can do that. I've seen it beat pretty much anything on ladder.
Yeah, it's got to go through Jade Druid, which it definitely can.
It can, yeah.
It's got to get through this N'Zoth Paladin, which it definitely can.
It can.
And it's got through Miracle Rogue, which
it can.
Really, really can. So it's 2-0, but it's not over by any stretch at all.
Well, oh,
Who was that?
Hey.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I don't know. I wanted to take a bathroom break.
Oh, okay.
You have to wait till Orange just
Actually, that's
finished.
Orange.
Right.
Get you two mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, we do. Happens, right? When the series is really long, like this one, you should take it. Like, we had that situation actually in Stockholm, 2014, if I remember.
Okay.
When Rain had a series at 2 a.m.
Okay.
And it was taking ages. That was the tournament. That was a tournament where Control was taking over. Everyone was playing
the Control Mage tournament.
Yeah,
that was with the Death Lord, Spirit Echo mages and stuff like that.
It was till 6 a.m.
Yeah.
The entire tournament. And at one point, Reynard was like, you know what? I need to stop. I need to take a break. I need to go to the toilet. And he was like gone for 6 minutes. But he went back and he was like relieved and fresh. So,
I love that emphasis, relieved and fresh.
Very relieved, very fresh.
Wow.
Not like Rain had to assert his authority at that time. Oh, maybe it was, actually. Yeah, just a bit.
yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, you do have to make sure everything's ready.
Sure. I mean, when you're playing for high stakes, you're playing for a title. You can't be too embarrassed to raise your hand to the judges and be like, hey, I really got to pee.
And Orange is legitimately one of those guys now who is playing for titles. It's a bit of a cliche to say they don't need the money. Some of these guys, they do need the money. They would really like $7,500.
It's a good time.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But Orange is in that situation where I think he values the titles more than the money.
He's approaching being one of the players that has the most first place titles.
Wow.
So, yeah, he just needs, I think, one more after this, and he's tied with like Kalento and Strifecrow, which they had kind of an advantage because they were competing in like 8-man invitationals in 2014.
Something about the letter O in your name just seems to get it done.
Sure, yeah, they all have O in their name.
Wow.
Yeah. O, in fact.
You have an O in your name. Where are your titles?
Well, hey, I had 2 top 8s in DreamHacks and 1 top 4.
Yeah, there you go.
And so talking about that, how do you find that when you sit there in those top 8s and you've done a day's work? What would you do if you were sat next to somebody telling you what to do? Punch them?
I'll probably just ignore him and kick him in the face.
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, that's not actually not ignoring, but I wanted to say about Orange, he's probably used to play under pressure.
Orange is definitely used to playing under pressure. He's played a lot of tournaments in his time, and did you say literally?
Yeah.
Because of the bathroom pressure.
Yes.
Sure. Ladder pressure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you say ladder pressure or bladder pressure?
Oh,
nice. Okay,
Right.
so we're going to get back into this game of Hearthstone that is re-emerging onto our broadcast. And let's see if Orange can get it done. 3 chances to beat Pirate Warrior to take down DreamHack Summer 17. But Espumito has got a lot to say about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, Pirate Warrior is a good deck. Last time I watched Espumito play in this tournament, he was able to accumulate 2 wins with his Pirate Warrior deck. Piloted it, you know, brilliantly.
Yeah. And that's not a meme. It's actually quite a hard deck to pirate.
Hard deck to pirate.
I give up. It wasn't even deliberate. Yeah, quite a hard deck to pilot in a pressure situation. So many little things you can get wrong.
Mulliganing away South Sea Captain. I kind of like holding on to the South Sea Captain. It can come out before the True Silver Champion can kill it. If you hit a 1-drop alongside it, it's such a crazy power spike.
And it's also, I find, a protection against a terrible hand. I know by keeping it, you're less likely to get the cards you want, but it's just a little bit of protection because you're favoured. So just get that protection. Make sure that nothing awful happens to you.
Yeah, Orange ends up keeping the Wild Pyromancer and the Forbidden Healing. Forbidden Healing being a great card once you've won the board, but can be a little bit awkward if you don't have the board won yet. But he can combo it with the Wild Pyromancer to potentially just clean up any 1-drop that Espumito drops out onto the field.
Is Spike Steed the key card? Surviving that long?
Steed? Well, you have to land it.
Landing,
it's very difficult. If you can land a Spike Ridge Steed on 6, you are probably already winning the game.
Right, so it's not actually that relevant in that way because it seems like you're winning already. Okay.
All right, Pyromancer plus Forbidden Healing can clear the board. You give up a powerful resource of Forbidden Healing, but
you still have 3 attack on board.
Yeah, you still have your 3/1 in play, which is quite strong.
Yeah, you then get to play Aldor on something on the next turn just to challenge into True Silver.
A lot of times,
seems good.
Pirate Warriors try and go 1-drop coined 3 as their ideal curve. He's just going to be using the hero power, though, wants to get the heal out of the Forbidden Healing, as it can be important in this matchup. That opens himself up to being a little bit vulnerable to this coin frothing, though. Yeah,
he doesn't have a whole lot of healing, so when you've stabilized, you do want to stabilize properly and exert your authority, but you've got to balance that with you just die because you haven't killed these 1-health minions.
The True Silver can't come out until the next turn. He can stunt the growth of the frothing with the Aldor Peacekeeper.
I think he has to just to develop the Aldor as much as anything. You know, even though it stunts the growth, is a good way of putting it because nothing much else happens. I feel like he just needs a 3-attack minion on the board himself, as much as just taking this 3 health off the, or 3 attack off the frothing.
All he really needs to do is survive to this Primordial Drake.
Yeah.
That card is disgusting against Pirate Warrior. It's able to usually clean up a lot of the Pirate Warrior's board while also offering a ginormous taunt for you.
Looks like he's going to be in position to do quite well. This Spellbreaker, definitely something to keep an eye on here from Espumito if it gets close at the end.
The Spellbreaker is going to be potentially great just on curve against the Infested Tauren here. It can be used to stop Spike Ridge Steed, which is fantastic as well, but the immediate tempo of the 4/3 body and the ability to clean off your opponent's minion earlier may just be worth it if he doesn't pick up something else to play.
That Aldor has prevented 6 damage from the frothing alone.
Oh yeah, the Aldor was fantastic.
You know, and then he's going to be able to get taunts down next turn, depending. He may even just want to Kodo away this 2/1.
Yeah.
But a 3/5 is a huge body against Pirates. Eats up most of their stuff.
It's a great body to have in place to set up for a potential Spike Ridge Steed as well, and Espumito has the decision. Does he want to tempo out Spellbreaker against a deck with a lot of taunts?
Or does he want to stall and do not much?
Yeah. So if you tempo out the Spellbreaker, it's very similar to, you know, having to weapon down a taunt or Mortal Strike down a taunt later on, because the Spellbreaker is often going to be able to connect for 4 damage, and then you can free up one of your removal cards to be able to remove a taunt instead of just going face.
Other option is to Heroic Strike or Mortal Strike. Neither of which are much fun, but, you know, gets it done. And yeah, he's just going to go with the Spellbreaker for the tempo. We'll see how this plays out later on if that Drake comes into play.
Yeah, he's trying to close out the game before that can happen.
Yeah. 21 Forbidden Healing in hand. If Orange can get a level board state and just spend 1 turn casting out Forbidden Healing for a chunk, he might be in a good spot to take this down.
Yeah. He's got to play around only 4 bursts at this point in time in the game, so it's not that likely that he dies, even if he just plays the Kodo this turn, swings at the 3/3.
Yeah, and it's challenging the 4/3 on board as well for the turn after.
He would only die to double Heroic Strike, and it just sets up a really powerful board, and then you can stabilize with Forbidden Healing the turn after. So it's a little risk, because the double Heroic Strike But I think it's a risk worth taking. If that's your opponent's only out, a lot of the times they don't have it.
Yeah, I think part of a lot of this turn is just about working out what does he have. That last turn was a little bit sad. He's had to play a Spellbreaker.
Right.
He knows he doesn't want to play that Spellbreaker, so what are those two other cards?
They could be N'Zoth's First Mate, or anything that is a burn card, or anything that costs more than 4.
There's not many of those things, so Leroy?
It could be Leroy, Captain Greenskin, Arcanite Reaper, Mortal Strike, Heroic Strike, potentially N'Zoth's First Mate.
And that's about it. That's a gain in this final that we've had times that actually Orange can limit his opponent's range pretty well.
That's not Heroic Strike.
It's not. It's a decent pickup, though.
You can set up your opponent to be dead to the Mortal Strike, and if they don't have healing, you could win the game.
The longer it goes, the more chance they have that healing.
Yeah, it plays around the Spike Ridge Steed this way, which you don't have the Spellbreaker any longer to beat, so you kind of have to do it.
Yep.
So now Orange can't use Spike Ridge Steed to stabilize on the Kodo because Mortal Strike kills him over the top. So it's a good setup from Espumito, but he is going to be met by 12 points of healing from Orange.
And a removed 4-3 and a Kodo still challenging, even as a 3-1, challenging the 6-3 minion. And a quality consecrations there as well.
Yeah, now the question, do you value trade or do you just remove the 6-3? How important is the extra 2 life that you'd gain compared to the ease of being able to answer your opponent's next board?
So it's 2 points. He's going to be on 16 if he heals for the full amount, which we assume he will, but there are other choices. And yeah, he's not sure. 16. If you leave up the 6-3, you're down to an effective 10. And 10's kind of a key number. A Leroy plus any card or an Arcanite Reaper, they're both things that
you
do
assume
10.
the final card's Mortal Strike, right?
Yeah, I think you do.
Playing around the top deck Leroy by not taking the value trade there. Because if Espumito had drawn Leroy there and Orange had taken the value trade, then he would be in a much... well, he'd still be at 6, actually, so he would have been fine.
Going to clear the board and see how he goes. He's going to be able to drop a 1-4 taunt behind all this. And that's absolutely huge because it means that he's now got extra time to get that Drake onto the board.
75% of Orange's hand is taunt minions against an aggro deck, and he has board control.
There is that 1 Mortal Strike already. Are there 2 in the deck?
No 2 Mortal Strikes.
So Orange should know this.
Yeah, he should know this, so there is not enough over-the-top damage for Espumito to close this game out with Mortal Strikes. Orange is fairly certain now at this point that that is a Mortal Strike in the hand of Espumito.
Taking that Mogajan Warden for the 7 points of healing effectively while he's trying to buy some time.
There's very limited ways to be able to get through this endless wall of taunts.
Yeah, looking really, really good for Orange. And this is just getting bigger and bigger. South Sea Captain just got nothing it can do at the moment. This was mulliganed away at the start, remember, where there was a chance for Espumito to maybe get a faster start if he did go to Coin Captain.
Yeah, a lot of the times the minions are pretty good in the early game like that. Being able to go 1-drop coin 3 as consistently as possible is really solid in Pirate Warrior.
So all Orange is doing now is not dying until he draws Ragnar's Light Lord, at which point he will win this tournament.
All he has to do is keep dropping these taunts. There's no way for Espumito to beat this amount of health from Orange, so...
He's on 23 effectively. Espumito will keep going. This is a massive event. He's trying to make his name out there, but it is looking for all the world now. Like, home boy, pride of Sweden, Orange is going to take this down. And Espumito has just got to find... What plan do you try and formulate other than, let's let him win this. Not let him win, but let's let him play it out. Sunkeeper Tarim actually lowers the amount you have on the board, so there's no hurry for that one. Just another taunt minion, as you said, playing those out, making sure he just doesn't get killed. People in the cinema will probably be going wild about now. Lots of Swedish players in there, and obviously lots of Spanish, we know that already, but looks like it's going to be Orange's day again.
Yeah, taking another first place. One of the most accomplished players in Hearthstone, continuing to win.
Yeah, adding more to that prize money total, adding more to that win list.
Yeah. What was he at before? Like 130,000?
Yeah, local saying 130,000. I think he was number 11 of the all-time earnings.
Wow. So now another 7,500 going to be added to that.
Yeah, get looking over that shoulder. Yeah.
That is an impressive feat indeed.
Trying to play around the number 13 here. He doesn't need to, in fact.
He doesn't
He's
even
still
need
only
to,
6 into the 8, but, you know, habits die hard and all that. And setting it all up. Sunkeeper Tarim setting up for 18 next turn. 18 is the magic number because even with the armor, he can only get to 18 Espumito, and it is going to be the end unless he mortal strikes a minion. But what does that actually achieve? Looking like Orange is going to be DreamHack champion. And he is going to be DreamHack champion. We're just waiting for the confirmation.
Right. There's no way Espumito can win this game.
Yeah, absolutely all done here. And is he going to mortal strike a minion, or is he just going to have it happen? Either way, does not matter. And Orange is going to be your champion. We're going to see him get the chance to put everything into face here next turn with the Tarim. Nothing died.
He's really milking this.
He's making the most of his time on the screen. But Orange is sinking in. He's got the smile on his face now. He's going to drop Tarim. He's going to come in for 18 points of damage. His opponent is on 17 health. Orange, the local man, the Swede, is going to take down DreamHack Summer 2017. And he is going to pick up the world's biggest trophy in the process.
What a match.
Yeah.
Orange from Alliance taking the title on his own turf. Could you imagine a better storyline?
Not really. Taking a 3-0 sweep, too. He made it look easy.
Easy when it... Hey, wait. Didn't you say...
Right.
Didn't you say it was 30-70 in favor of Espumito?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely thought Espumito had a lineup advantage there. So I think it's a bit of an upset for Orange to actually be able to take that one.
Well, we'll talk with Orange in a second. Just to recap, 200 players got to this tournament. From those 200 players, we only have 2 in the grand final. And the Swede took so many first places, so already has another one under his belt. It's actually amazing to have a player like that in our scene. And now we're gonna just talk with him. Orange, first of all, congratulations, and this trophy is yours.
Trophy, thank you.
Nice
Congrats. Now, just tell us, you know, generic, not generic words that you have prepared already.
I didn't really get time to prepare for this, considering I left the match 10 seconds ago. But I feel I feel amazing. I couldn't really hope for like this good of a result. I took the week off for streaming because I felt that my results in DreamHacks lately have been kind of lackluster, so I really wanted to take this seriously. And I was standing here with the trophy, so yeah, I'm pretty much at a lack of words here.
All right, well, you had a top 8 in 2015, right?
Yep.
That was the last DreamHack winner actually had a top finish?
Yeah, in between that I have 3 top 16s, though. So, but yeah, that was my last top 8 finish.
All right, so do you actually remember how many first places did you have in the past?
I think this is the 6th, maybe.
That's insane.
Sure,
That's a stupid amount of wins. Well done, man.
That is insane. Lorinda, questions?
Yeah, I was interested to join the cast there. I saw you talking pretty extensively with Powder in between the matches. Fireback was saying that Powder would just be saying, go out there, play Hearthstone, you can do this. But I saw loads of bits of paper with numbers and stuff written on. What was Powder going through with you?
Yeah, no, me and Ostkak has pretty much learned, me and Powder, a way how to figure out the picks and bans, like the most optimal order, by writing down matchups percentage-wise, and then we discuss in like what to open and stuff. If it wasn't for doing that in between every match together with Powder and Ostkaka, I would have not figured out that I was supposed to ban Rogue in the semi-final. It was leave it open, I mean, in the semi-finals, because I had a lineup that was supposed to ban Quest Rogue. But in the semi-finals, after doing that, we figured out that, well, I need to ban the Shaman. And if it wasn't for those in-between talks, I would have probably banned Rogue and not even made it to the finals.
Wow, yeah.
That's actually pretty sweet. Firebat.
Did you feel like you were favored going up against Espumito in the last match, or do you feel like it was an upset for you to beat his lineup?
Yes, I thought I was unfavored. Both me and Powder agreed on that. Considering that, well, I knew that my lineup would be weak against people that both Quest Rogue and Evolve Shaman, but his Murloc Paladin is actually worse for my lineup. I think I haven't played against it extensively.
Sure.
Than Evolve Shaman, and I was really, really afraid of that deck, and that's why I was so relieved when I managed to win against it in game 1. But from that point, I think I'm super favored. But going into the match, I thought I would be an uphill battle. Yeah,
it felt like you're almost 2 against 3 with that Miracle Rogue. Just looking pretty sad when you put those side by side.
Yeah, Miracle Rogue was not in the best spot, and it really had no good matchups at all.
Was the plan to try and get the Paladin out of the way to keep the Druid healthy, so that if the Paladin could get beat, you'd have 2 okay chances with your Druid?
We were actually expecting him to ban my Paladin, so when I sat down, I got to know that he banned my Shaman instead, which also made some sense, especially considering that I left the Rogue open in my semifinal, because then he can sweep with Rogue. So I was taken kind of... so I had to decide on the spot, and Soft Paladin overall good matchups, and I thought it was the deck out of my 3. I was kind of sure he would start Paladin, and I thought my Paladin had the best shot against that, so...
All right, well... Just making one promise, because there's a Swedish tradition in losing your trophies, right?
Oh, right.
Keep it close. Keep it close.
I'll keep on to this. I promise.
All right. You have your spotlight, basically. I'm sure you want to give out some shout-outs, right? To your team partners.
I want to thank my teammates first of all, Powder and Oskaka. They've been to amazing help throughout testing and throughout the tournament. I couldn't have done it without them. For sure. And I also wanted to thank Alliance and our sponsors. Thanks to them for making me be able to go to all these events and play in these tournaments.
All right. Last question, actually. Since it's Sweden, right? And you're a Swede. Is that something that you know, gives you additional motivation or some pressure maybe? How was it for you?
I have felt a lot of support from being here, like people walking up to me and being fans or whatever, more here than in other places, considering that I guess Swedes know me better than other people around the world. So it's actually been like tremendous to just like feel such big support from the home crowd, and has felt really, really good.
All right, amazing to hear. Well, congrats again, first place for the 7th or 6th time or whatever it is, but it's an amazing feat. I hope people will actually appreciate the fact that Orange is one of the most consistent players in the entire scene for such a long time. But that kind of sums up the entire tournament that we had for the 3 days here in Jönköping. 8th Grand Prix here at DreamHacks. Winter will be next one. Well, actually, no. We have Valencia next month, 13th to 15th July, and actually amazing event as well that was last time won by a Spaniard. Right. So it seems like a tradition that the home crowd needs to take it. We'll see how it will go next month. Thank you very much for watching from the production, from the casters, from the players. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. See you again.